Hey, I'm Andy MacNeil, host of the Puck Portfolio, Canada Sports Betting's new hockey and sports betting podcast. I'll be here weekdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast to provide NHL projections, betting advice, and strategies to help you make informed bets throughout the NHL season. The first Saturday of the NHL season is almost here, so I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. So we're going to skip right over Friday the 13th. There are 14 games on the docket for Saturday, and I'm going to get you going into the weekend with a full preview of Saturday's games here. But two things before I get into the games. I've got a handful of moneyline bets, and I want you to let me finish talking though before you decide to tail a bet on a given game or not. I had a friend text me on Thursday saying, "Hey man, I paused the video to get on the stars," and I said, "Why did you pause the video? Just let me finish talking." I would have You would have heard me say that Rupe Hintz was questionable, and we were going to wait until Hintz was confirmed to be in the lineup before laying -210 on the stars, which I had already done up to that point anyway. But I was just trying to give you guys, the listeners, the best advice that I could give, and that was to wait until we saw what happened with Rupe Hintz. Of course, Hintz did not end up playing. It was a sweat too. The Stars needed a shootout to get that one done. Luckily, it worked out all right. But please, just let me finish what I'm saying. If you're going to tail some bets here with me today, it's important to let me get all the words out before you make a final decision. And lastly, please like and subscribe. Your likes and comments, good or bad, mean a ton to the channel and they help out a lot. Speaking of which, who commented on Thursday's video that at least 3 games were going to go over? 6 out of 7 went under, most by a mile. I really hope that you're okay. Anyway, please like the video and subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. It will help out a ton, I promise you. But let's get to the Saturday betting preview, shall we? Of course, odds are always subject to change. First up, the Philadelphia Flyers at the Ottawa Senators. Look, I'm 0-1 betting against the Flyers. I'm 0-1 betting on the Senators, so this should be good, right? The Flyers, they were able to control their season opening game versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I do worry about whether Philadelphia will be, they're a hardworking team, and they've got a hard-nosed coach, and especially early in the season, that could, help them get the jump on some teams here. But Ottawa did come to play against Carolina in their season opener. They just couldn't finish very strong, but the Sens are a good home team. And at -170, I think there's some value here. So let's just check out my projections. As you'll see, I've got Ottawa projected to win the game 66.1% of the time. That means their odds should be -195 according to the projection model. If we head on over and look at North Star bets, we'll see that the Senators are actually right now, the Senators are currently -180. So we got to shop around a little bit and see if we can't find a better price, because things are seeming to be moving fast here on Ottawa. Like I said, I don't think a lot of people think very much of the Philadelphia Flyers. Hey, Bet99, if you look down here, -170. That is a great number, in my opinion, regardless of who starts in goal for Ottawa, Jonas Korpisalo or Anton Forsberg. The Senators are playing again on Sunday. They're going to be hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning, so there is something to watch there. But -170, I love the Sens at that number. I would bet -170 to win a unit, so lock that in. Up to -180, although I would reduce my stake down to about 3/4 of a unit if that was the price that I was paying. So I think that's something that bettors should want to consider. Always shop around for the best price. But once again, my projection model has the Senators -195 here, so definitely some value on the -170 line. Right now at Bet99. Next up, another early game with another Canadian team in action, Florida Panthers at the Winnipeg Jets. The Panthers opening night lineup, it looked a lot uglier than I thought it would, and they laid an egg, losing 2-0 to the Minnesota Wild in Minnesota. Recent Panthers teams, they've never been really good on the road. They haven't lived up to expectations. I doubt that their current roster is going to all of a sudden be a great road bet either. The Jets, they look good in their season opener. A strong underlying metrics if you look at the game, the box score and the stats. Despite the loss, and they're a good home team. They were a good home team last season, but right now I've still got the Panthers sitting higher than the Jets in my power ratings, even with the injuries. So the projection model has Winnipeg at -111, listed as a short home favorite, right? With scorer Nikolai Eller's status up in the air as is often is. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Ellers, listed as questionable at some outlets. So something to monitor there. But another game that I'm really eyeing here is the Calgary Flames, another Canadian team, in action at Pittsburgh against the Penguins. The wrong team is the favorite here, in my opinion, in this one. According to the projection model, which has the Flames winning this game almost 52% of the time, that means their odds should be around minus 108. Neither team looked good in their season opener, but the Flames did win theirs, so that's good. Calgary wasn't a good bet last season, despite their strong underlying numbers. Same goes for the Penguins, but the market seems to be a little bit more down on Calgary when I think they should be probably down on Pittsburgh as well. And I'll take the Flames here. Calgary is a good bet to even money, all the way down to even money. But why take that price when you can get plus 105 or better? So let's just check out. I believe we'll find plus 105 over at North Star Bets. So let's look around and find the Calgary Flames here. Calgary is now plus 102. So this one is moving quick. I was able to lock in plus 107 just before starting the show, just kind of to get things locked in before I relayed everything to you guys. And it's moving. It's already moving. The Flames, they were available, for an even better number earlier. So people not buying this line on the Pittsburgh Penguins, people siding with the Calgary Flames. Go Flames, go. I'm not a Flames fan. I just, this is a really good jersey, you got to admit, right? But yeah. Anyway, the Flames, I think that they're great bet tonight. I'm going to bet a unit on them at plus 105 or plus 102. Sorry. The odds are moving fast. I can barely keep up with it. That's a good sign, though. If you can get in on this, maybe the Flames will end up being the favorite by the time the puck drops, like I think they should be. And anytime you can get a team that should be favorite as an underdog, that's a great place to be. So we'll take that on the Calgary Flames, but we'll head over back to my projection model, and we'll see what's up here. Because next up, I got another bet. Here. It's it's not going to be like this for the whole show, but it just so happens that they're all lining up here. Chicago Blackhawks at Montreal Canadiens. Losing Taylor Hall, man, it hurts big time. He's one of the only legitimate NHL stars, that Chicago has. But the projection model, it still sees some value in Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks as they get set to take on the Canadiens here in Montreal. The Canadiens, they've got scoring prowess. Don't get me wrong. It was displayed in their season opener against Toronto, but plus 115, plus 118, that's too big of a number for this matchup. I'm on the Blackhawks. Chicago looked outmatched against the Bruins. I know that, but they look really good against Pittsburgh. I'm hoping that that team shows up to play the Canadiens, who are, probably closer to the Penguins than they are the Bruins, right? So the Blackhawks, they look like a good bet at plus 118. Let's see if we'll make sure that is still available here before moving on. Plus 120 at North Star Bets. I'm going to guess that is, probably the best price. Oh, Bet365, look at that, matching plus 120s. So plus 120 on the Chicago Blackhawks. That's at Bet365. That is at North Star Bets. Some options here for sure for all of you NHL fans looking to get some bets down on Saturday. I know we're early here, but that's the idea, right? Get out ahead of things, get out before all the other bettors get to the market. That's the whole point here, and it's a pretty good strategy if you ask me. So I'm taking the Blackhawks plus 120. I'm going to risk one unit on them to beat the Canadiens. I could probably justify risking a little more, but I'm going to protect myself a little bit here from some of the unknowns that maybe the model isn't accounting for. And next up, we've got the Minnesota Wild and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Minnesota's next game is scheduled next week in Montreal, and I wonder if Marc-Andre Fleury won't be made available for that one, right? He's from the area. Philip Gustafsson was head and shoulders better than Marc-Andre Fleury last season, and while I do think the latter has some juice left, he projects to be the lesser of the two options for the Wild. So this is something for bettors to watch here when it comes to the Minnesota Wild and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, the Maple Leafs a big favorite here, and I agree with that. I've got Toronto pretty closely in line with what the sports books have them at, minus 172. I think they'll win this game around 63% of the time. because that's with Gustafsson though. So if he's in goal, that's what I think their chances would look like. But their chances will increase a little bit here if they do end up facing off against Fleury, which very well could be the case. And I think in that case, their odds would move and be projected to move north of minus 180 if that ends up happening. So something to watch there for Maple Leafs fans. No play on that game as of now, and there's no play on Saros and the Predators as they get set to take on the Boston Bruins. He picked up his first shutout of the season against the Kraken on Thursday. The Bruins picked up a fairly easy win over the Blackhawks on Wednesday. I'm still not sure what to make of either of these teams, really. The projection model has Boston winning the game 64% of the time. That feels right, which means their odds should be roughly minus 180. That's right, kind of smack dab in the middle of where the betting market has this one at right now. The under here, I know people are going to look. It seems like a super square play right off the hop. You know that both teams have great goaltending, so the sports books know that too. They're well aware. But I also think it's a square play because the Predators could come out of left field and give Kevin Lankinen his first start of the season. Who knows, right? So something to maybe watch for bettors as they consider betting on this game, but I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of interest here. If anything, it's going to be on the Nashville side, and that's even more reason to be kind of cautious about this one because if it's not Saros, their chances of winning any given game are going to decrease quite a bit, right? So no play there, and there's some potential here. There is some potential with this next one. The New York Rangers, man, they look really good last night. The Columbus Blue Jackets, that's who they're up against on Saturday in Columbus. They were looking good in the early going, quick to the puck, aggressive in the offensive zone. All the things you'd expect a young team to be when they're kind of getting going in a new season. Unfortunately, they got a little too aggressive, and their first mistake led to a 2-0 and a Flyers goal against the Blue Jackets. Did get one back, but the game was never really as close as the score suggested. It was 2-1 and then 3-1 a little later. The Blue Jackets did score with the empty net, Patrick Laine, after the Flyers had scored their own empty net goal to make it 3-1, so it was kind of meaningless. A little bit of a tease there for sure. But the big story here is defenseman Zach Werenski. Man, this guy cannot catch a break. Terrible injury luck. He missed all but 13 games last season, and after a knee-on-knee with Garnet Hathaway, really Bush League stuff from Hathaway, he left Thursday's game and did not return. It looks like he avoided a serious injury, I think, because the team is describing it as a quad bruise, I believe. So that could change. I've seen injury, diagnosis change from day to day in the past. So I'm not gonna take the Blue Jackets at their word right now, but it doesn't sound good nonetheless in the short term because it sounds like the Blue Jackets could be without Werenski when they face the Rangers on Saturday. New York, like I said, they were really good on Thursday. They easily beat the Sabres 5-1 in dominant fashion. Now check out these game charts from Evolving Hockey here. This is the Rangers Corsi 4, so shot attempts. As you can see, they just steadily kind of drove the puck down the Sabres' throat for the entire game. They finished with around a 56% shot share. But here's the big one right here. The expected goals, 5.2 to 1.8 in favor of the Rangers. That's 76% or just around there. Really, really dominant performance. And really poor performance from the Sabres on opening night, not just opening night, but their season opener. So much hype around this team. Sabres fans can't be happy about that one. And I know they showed up in full force for that one. Great pregame show. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so the Rangers here, I've got them minus 218, but this is conditional on Igor Shesterkin starting. This is why I say wait till I finish talking, right? If Shesterkin doesn't start, the Rangers will not be projected at minus 218. And some sports books have had the Rangers at minus 180 around there, around that area, minus 185. I think that, though, that we could be seeing some movement in this one. I'm not going to be a part of that, though, and I'll tell you why here. So let's look at some sports books. Let's see where the Rangers sit right now. Okay, minus 200 at Bet365, so that one has started to move. We've got minus 180 at Bet99. So at minus 180, the Rangers are attractive to me, and I could justify going up as high as minus 190 probably. But this is all conditional on whether Igor Shesterkin starts or not. Because if it's Jonathan Quick, I'm not laying minus 180 on Jonathan Quick. I don't care if they're playing the, you know, Lee Valley Phantoms or whoever. It's not something that I'm. Well, maybe okay. I'll take that back. I might lay minus 180 on Jonathan Quick if they're playing an AHL team, but I'm not gonna do this this early in the season, first start. Maybe if Quick builds some confidence here. I don't really doubt that happens, but at these odds, I'm not going to take part in this. I'm going to monitor it though, because if Shesterkin starts, I'm going to run to try to get the best price on the Rangers that I can, especially considering it looks like Zach Werenski is not going to be, healthy enough to play in this game. But yeah, it's definitely something worth monitoring, and I would not be. I mean, there are lots of bets to make. We've still got 1,200 plus games to go here. The NHL season just started. We don't have to rush into to taking the Rangers here as a big favorite against the Blue Jackets on the road, nonetheless. So I'm not laying minus 185, minus 190 or better on Jonathan Quick, but definitely a game worth monitoring here as you get into Friday and into Saturday morning and learn some more about this one. So next up, we got the Lightning and the Red Wings. I wanted to bet an Alex DeBrincat anytime goal on Thursday, and I totally forgot. I hope some of you did because, of course, he scored his first goal as a Red Wing. The former two-time 40 goal scorer stock is really too low right now, I think, especially given his place in the lineup. So he's somebody to watch going forward. As far as Saturday's game between the Lightning and the Red Wings, it's a little tough to price because we don't know the combination. Like, I'm okay pricing a game if there's maybe one, we're uncertain about who one of the goaltenders will be. But, in games like this, it's really tough because there's a lot of uncertainty. It could be any one of, multiple combinations. And in my opinion, this right now is about a 50-50 game, but it could shift in either direction, depending on how things shake out with the goaltenders, as I just mentioned. If anything, I think I'll end up betting on Detroit as a home underdog here because some shops are starting to show some longer odds. But I don't think I'm going to be rushing into this one, right? The Red Wings, not necessarily a team that I'm in love with heading into the season. And as you can see, I have them at 50-50 here in this one. So I would consider, some bigger plus money odds, but I'll wait until the goaltenders kind of shake out until I really hammer down what that it will be exactly. I think, maybe plus 115 would be somewhere I'd probably be comfortable regardless of what happens, but it's tough to say right now. So I don't have a whole lot here on the Red Wings and the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it is a game that I think is worth monitoring here. And not that I really have a lot of interest in this one as from a betting perspective. But the Sabres and the Islanders, it's an interesting one because look, I was honestly a little nervous watching the Sabres pregame. I started to think they'd come roaring out, but they were flat from the start. The Rangers got the jump on them with 2 quick goals. They dominated, like I said. So don't blame Devin Levi. But the Sabres were a good road team last season. They went 24-13-3 on the road, good for the 10th best record in the league. And only the Boston Bruins were more profitable than the Sabres on the road for bettors. And that's the big reason for that is that they were typically a sizable underdog when playing as the visitor, right? So to put things into perspective, if you look at Buffalo's season last year, they actually played 2 road games at the tail end of the season in March against the Islanders. They went 1-1. The market had them around a plus 145 underdog in those games, both of those games. So what has changed in 6 to 7 months? Nothing. The Sabres season ended shortly after that. The only thing that's different is they're a little bit older and they're really hyped up by the betting public, right? So I don't think the Sabres are bad enough to lay minus 130 or worse betting on the Islanders to win this game, but Buffalo is not a good bet at plus 120. I mean, if anything, that's exactly where they should be. I've got them, not exactly, but I've got them around plus 116. So some tiny value, but they've got to tick up a lot more, plus 125 or more before I'd even consider looking at them. And we don't know who's going to start in goal for the Sabres. So a little bit of uncertainty there, but I would bet it's going to be Ilya Sorokin getting the start in the season opener at home for the New York Islanders. Not as much uncertainty there. All right, this is going to be my last bet, but you'll want to stick around because I'll talk about the rest of the games here, and I've got some I guess, caveats and some information to go along with the projections. But the last one that I'm going to talk about, as far as a bet that I really like heading into Saturday, is the Seattle Kraken at the St. Louis Blues. I shouldn't say I really like it because the Kraken are not off to a good start, scoring just one goal in 2 games so far this season. They've been outscored 7-1 against Vegas, and then after Thursday's shutout loss to UC Saros and the Predators, not great, right? Meanwhile, St. Louis, they didn't look half bad in their home opener against the Stars. But I don't think the score would have been so close if Jordan Binnington wasn't so freaking good on Thursday. The Stars really, really had some good looks, and he came up huge in that game. But here I've got to trust the projection model early in the season. We don't have a lot to go on, and it's telling me that the Kraken should be priced closer to minus 122, as you can see on the screen, not minus 110. So if we look over here and let's check out Bet365, we'll find Seattle. They're minus 110. So that is a good bet. That's where I would cut it off. I wouldn't go minus 115 or anything like that. But the Kraken at minus 110, I like it. So I'm on the Kraken to beat the Blues straight up at minus 110 or better. Shop around, though, because I'm seeing Seattle start to pop up with some longer odds at some shops. So definitely have a look. Next up, the Ducks and the Golden Knights. Whew, this is the most lopsided game of the season so far, according to the projection model. Vegas absolutely deserves to be a minus 300 favorite. The Ducks are super soft, and they'll likely get rolled here. Is there any betting value on Vegas, though? Nah, no. There will be times when betting big favorites makes sense. I know some of you don't think that, and that's okay, but this is not going to be one of them, not at the current price. So let's move on here. Expect the Ducks to get, smacked. Avalanche at Sharks, another really lopsided game, but gotta ask, did the NHL really have to saddle the Sharks with the toughest schedule in the month of October of anybody to open the season, right? The average projected points of their opponents is over 100. That means they've got to deal with a murderer's row of teams, the top of the league. First, Vegas, which went how you would expect, a 4-1 loss for the Sharks. Now Colorado, which will probably go exactly how you'd expect. That said, the projection model currently sees the current odds as fair, with the Avalanche around minus 226. So not anything there for me on the sides. But this next one, although I'm not betting on it, I'm pretty interested to watch it because, my reaction, a lot of people here in Edmonton, oh God, stop! They're already dead. Vancouver's 8-1 beatdown of the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure. I had a quick look, but I think that was the most lopsided loss in the Connor McDavid era. So big time revenge spot for all you situational bettors, but that's not really my game. And although I do try to incorporate some elements of that into my projection model, and the model has Edmonton winning 67% of the time on Saturday, that might sound great, but if you got to pay minus 200 to win $1, it's not a good bet, right? So I'll be watching Edmonton and Vancouver, and it'll be interesting. I mean, the score doesn't mean a whole lot in one game, in my opinion, but if Vancouver smacks them again, I think people are going to start to panic, and maybe rightfully so. But that is almost it. We've got one last game to go here. Andrei Svechnikov is reportedly unlikely to travel with the Hurricanes on their upcoming road trip, but they should be all right. The Kings are a bit tougher of a test now. Their forward, one of their best forwards, also resident Band-Aid boy, Victor Arvidsson, he's hurt once again, placed on long-term injured reserve. And the player that is probably best suited to replace him, I think, in the lineup is Arthur Kaliev, and he's serving a suspension until Tuesday, going back from last season. So not an ideal situation here for the Kings. They dropped their season opener against Colorado. There's a decent chance they'll drop this game too. The projection model sees the game going Carolina's way about 55% of the time, but there's some wiggle room because the goalies are up in the air. We don't know who's going to start. It could be Phoenix Copley, it could be Antti Ranta. Who knows here? And Carolina will play, like I said, in Anaheim on Sunday, so the first half of a back-to-back. But that does it for Saturday's betting preview. I hope that I've provided you, I know I've provided you with lots of good info and lots of good insight heading into the weekend. You can make your own decisions, but feel free to tail along. These are the bets that I'm on as of now. Of course, there are some others that I'll be watching, but right now, 4 moneyline bets. One more time: Ottawa minus 170, Calgary plus 102, Chicago plus 120, and Seattle minus 110. Please remember to gamble responsibly. Good luck with your bets. I'll see you on Monday.